going to help you identify those sneaky red flags that might be showing you who in your family is actually toxic, so you can protect your peace. When we think about toxic relationships, our minds often wander to romantic partners or friends. But what about the people we're supposed to be closest to? Our family members. It's easy to overlook the warning signs when it comes to our loved ones, but recognizing the subtle signs of toxicity is crucial for our emotional well-being and mental health. The truth is, dealing with a toxic family member can be incredibly challenging, especially when it comes to navigating the complexities of family dynamics. We've all been there, feeling stuck between our loyalty to our family and our own emotional safety. But it's essential to acknowledge that toxic behavior, no matter how subtle, can have a profound impact on our lives. Unfortunately, many of us tend to downplay or excuse the harmful actions of our family members, often because we're worried about causing conflict or because we're afraid of being disloyal. But today, I want to encourage you to take a step back and reassess the relationships within your family. It's time to acknowledge that your emotional well-being matters, and it's okay to prioritize yourself. Many people struggle to recognize the signs of toxicity within their family because they've become so normalized to the behavior. It's like living in a dysfunctional household where everyone's walking on eggshells, always waiting for the next explosion. But I want you to know that you don't have to live like that. You deserve better. And it starts with recognizing the subtle signs of toxicity. When we're growing up, we often learn to adapt to our family's dynamics, even if they're unhealthy. We might not even realize that our family members are being toxic because it's all we've ever known. But as adults, it's our responsibility to break free from those patterns and create a healthier environment for ourselves. Dealing with a toxic family member can be a heavy emotional burden. It's like carrying a weight around with you everywhere you go, always wondering when the next argument or incident will happen. The worst part is, it's not just the big explosive fights that are the problem. It's the constant stress, anxiety, and feelings of uncertainty that come with dealing with someone toxic. It's exhausting, and it's okay to admit that you need help. If you're struggling to recognize the signs of toxicity, or if you're feeling overwhelmed by a toxic family member, know that you're not alone. There are people who understand what you're going through, and there are resources available to help you cope. One of the most critical things to recognize is that toxicity can be incredibly subtle. It's not always about the big dramatic outbursts or explosive arguments. Sometimes it's the little comments, the snide remarks, or the passive-aggressive behaviors that can be just as damaging. So, what are the subtle signs that you might be dealing with a toxic family member? Well, let's dive in and explore the top 5 signs you need to look out for. The first sign is when your family member consistently dismisses or minimizes your feelings. They might say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You're too sensitive." This can be incredibly damaging, especially if you're someone who's already struggling with self-doubt or low self-esteem. The second sign is when your family member constantly criticizes or judges you. They might make backhanded compliments or offer feedback that's actually just a thinly veiled insult. This can be incredibly draining and make you feel like you're always walking on eggshells around them. The third sign is when your family member tries to control or manipulate you. This might be through guilt-tripping, emotional blackmail, or even outright bullying. Remember, you have the right to make your own decisions and choices, and anyone who tries to take that away from you is toxic. The fourth sign is when your family member is consistently unreliable or flaky. They might promise to show up to events or help you with tasks, but consistently fail to follow through. This can be frustrating and make you feel like you're always having to pick up the slack for someone else. The fifth and final sign is when your family member is unsupportive or uninterested in your life. They might not ask you about your goals, dreams, or aspirations, or they might not even care when you achieve something amazing. This can be incredibly hurtful, especially if you're someone who values emotional support and validation. These signs might seem small or insignificant on their own, but when you add them up, they can be incredibly damaging to your mental health and emotional well-being. It's essential to recognize these signs and take action to protect yourself. I want to share a personal story with you that really drives home the importance of recognizing toxicity in our families. I want to share a story about a friend of mine that really shows the importance of recognizing toxicity in our families. When he was little, his mother would constantly make snide comments about his appearance, telling him he was too fat or too ugly. At the time, he thought his mother was just trying to help, but looking back, he's come to realize how toxic that behavior was. It took him years to build self-confidence and self-acceptance, and even now, it's something he still struggles with. But here's the thing, he isn't alone, and neither are you. There are so many people who've been through similar experiences, and it's okay to acknowledge that it's not okay. It's okay to say, this behavior is not acceptable, and I deserve better. The most critical insight I want to leave you with today is that recognizing and addressing toxicity in your family is not about blaming or attacking others. It's about taking responsibility for your own emotional well-being. It's about recognizing that you deserve to be treated with love, respect, and kindness, and that you have the power to create those boundaries for yourself. Remember, recognizing the subtle signs of toxicity is just the first step. It takes courage, wisdom, and self-awareness to address these issues and create a healthier, more loving environment for yourself. But I promise you, it's worth it. To recap, the 5 subtle signs you might be dealing with a toxic family member are when they dismiss or minimize your feelings, consistently criticize or judge you, try to control or manipulate you, are unreliable or flaky, and are unsupportive or uninterested in your life. These signs might seem small, but they can have a profound impact on your emotional well-being. In conclusion, I want to leave you with a call to action. Take some time to reflect on your family dynamics and ask yourself, are there any subtle signs of toxicity that I've been ignoring? Take a step back, assess the relationships in your life, and prioritize your own emotional well-being. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll share your thoughts in the comments below about your own experiences with toxic family members. If you're struggling to cope with a toxic family dynamic, be sure to check out my next video on coping strategies and tips for dealing with these complex relationships.